Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our channel. Today, we will take a look at the movie The Harder They Fall. Young Nat, who was likely just a teenager at the time, is enjoying a simple meal with his parents when they are suddenly visited by Rufus and his gang. In a desperate attempt to save his wife and son, he begs Rufus to spare them. Without any warning or remorse, he shoots Eleanor, Nat's mother, before turning the gun on Nat's father. In a heart-wrenching moment, Nat is forced to watch his parents die before his very eyes. To make matters even worse, Rufus carves a cross symbol on Nat's forehead. Years later, he finds Rufus's former partner, Jesus Cortez, who recognizes Nat, but Nat shoots him first and kills him. Elsewhere, Nat's gang members, Bill Pickett and Jem Beckworth, ambush the Crimson Hoods gang and steal from them, but they capture a member named Monroe Grimes. At night, Nat goes to the saloon in Redwood Town run by his ex-girlfriend, stagecoach Mary Fields. When Nat and Mary reunite, they kiss, but Mary only does it to remind him of what he lost and kicks him in the face for leaving her. They reconcile and start to get close, but Pickett arrives to inform Nat about the robbery. He and Beckworth bring Nat to meet with Grimes, who tells them that Rufus will be released from prison and will come after them to retrieve the stolen money. Although Nat appears ready to kill Grimes, he allows him to escape. Rufus's gang, led by traitor Trudy Smith and sharpshooter Cherokee Bill, board horses and ride to the train where Rufus is being transported. Once they sneak onto the train, they take the captain's son hostage. The gang forces their way into the train car where Rufus is located, and Trudy blackmails the captain by telling him that she knows he and his men completely destroyed a village for silver. They release Rufus and order all the men to be killed, sparing only the captain's son so that he can continue driving the train. In the saloon, Marshal Bass Reeves arrives to arrest Nat. After a brief standoff, Nat submits and goes with Reeves in handcuffs. When Rufus and his gang arrive in Redwood, they see Wiley's actions as a betrayal of their shared criminal past. In a display of brutal violence, Rufus beats up Wiley and knocks out some of his teeth, leaving him humiliated and defeated. Reeves takes Nat to the town, and it becomes clear that the arrest was a ploy to allow Reeves to go after Rufus directly without having to deal with Nat's gang. However, Mary, Cuffy, Pickett, and Jim also follow and catch up with the two men. Nat tells them not to get involved, but they all decide to stay around. Jim, in particular, wants to prove that he's a faster gunfighter than Cherokee Bill. Trudy takes back control of her saloon and scolds Rufus for leaving her in charge while he was away. However, Rufus assures her that he needs her leadership to keep the gangs in check. Trudy and Cherokee address the townspeople to inform them that Rufus is now in charge. When a man objects, Rufus kills him in front of everyone and reiterates his orders for the townspeople to pay the gang. Nat and his gang capture Wiley in the forest. He tells them that Rufus is in Redwood and wants control, but doesn't have any money. At night, Mary suggests going to the town to scout the area. Nat objects, but Mary insists on her idea. Mary enters the town and goes to Trudy's saloon. She talks to Rufus and tries to make a deal to deceive him and his gang, but instead Rufus orders Trudy to knock Mary out and take her as a prisoner. Trudy keeps Mary alive for a day until the gang comes to take her. While watching Mary, Trudy tells her a story about her sister, Mary, who had polio. A neighbor girl named Hope bothered Mary and threw something at her, causing her to get injured. Trudy's father beat her because he couldn't protect her, but when he tried to go to Hope's house and beat her, both Hope's family and Trudy's father froze in fear because Trudy had already reached her and cut her throat. Nat and the rest of the gang enter Redwood for Mary. Jim tries to confront Cherokee, but Cherokee is not interested in proving himself to Jim.
Hey, drink my ass!
Nat is stripped and beaten in front of Mary. Rufus reminds Nat that he stole his money, so he orders him to do a bank robbery to repay him with interest. The gang heads to Marysville for a robbery that requires Cuffy to reluctantly wear a dress. The men guarding the bank point their guns at the gang, but Nat and his men are faster. They take the money without harming anyone and escape when the sirens start blaring. The gang returns to Redwood with 2 cars, one carrying the money and the other loaded with explosives provided by Wiley. While Reeves goes for a walk with Cherokee, one of Rufus's men inspects the dummy car. The dummy explodes, killing the man. Nat arrives with the real car, but Cherokee points a gun at him. Jim does the same to Cherokee and prepares for the long-awaited showdown, but just as he starts counting, Cherokee shoots him in the face. A gunfight breaks out between the 2 gangs, and Pickett acts as a sniper for Rufus's own snipers. Mary is freed and goes after Trudy. The women put down their guns and fight, but Mary knocks Trudy out with the butt of her rifle. As Rufus's gang is mowed down, Pickett and Cuffy enter the saloon after Cherokee shoots Pickett in the back. Cuffy draws his gun to get revenge for Pickett and shoots Cherokee in the throat. Cherokee staggers outside and dies. Nat enters the building where Rufus is preparing to kill them. He then tells Rufus the truth about why he killed his parents. Rufus's father was an alcoholic and a violent man who had disappeared. Following him, Nat discovered that his father had changed his name to Love, and that he was Nat's biological father, making himself and Rufus half-brothers. He had left a cross-shaped scar on his face to remind himself. Nat tries to deny it as one of Rufus's lies, crying, but Rufus insists that it is true. Nat kills Rufus, but closes his eyes out of respect. Before joining his surviving teammates, Nat buries Pickett and Jim and adds a fake grave with his name on it to falsely show his death, which Reeves confirms. Cuffy decides to join the legislative power and says goodbye to Nat and Mary. The 2 set out together, while Trudy, who is still alive, watches them from afar. And the film ends here. I hope you liked it. See you in the next video.